Hi, this is Reapso Video, and I'm Theodore Ross, Editor-in-Chief of the Food and Environment Reporting Network, or FERN. I'm here in Brooklyn, trapped in a formless and featureless windowless box that is running dangerously low on air, so I'm going to get right to it. I'm joined today by Lisa Morehouse. Lisa's the host of California Foodways, a public radio series and podcast that goes county by county in the Golden State, exploring the intersections of food, culture, economics, history, and labor. Now, Lisa's been doing audio for FERN since 2015, but this is her first time on Reapso. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
So, Lisa, your episode is about a vital cog in the machinery of California's agricultural system, and it's pretty cool. The trained scuba divers who keep the irrigation canals in California pumping. And my first question to you is, why this story?
Well, I love finding stories that I never even knew about. I'm a born and raised Californian. I had no idea that this job existed. And so as soon as I did learn about it, I just had to know more. And I think, for California Foodways, I'm doing 58 stories total. They can't all be about our favorite farm or our favorite restaurant. That's just not an interesting series. For me, I'm really interested in all of the people that make the food system function. And this was just one of those kind of hidden jobs that I got really curious about.
And what was the biggest obstacle to your reporting?
Because I work in audio and not print, I really needed to think about how I was going to collect the sound of divers in doing this work in irrigation. A lot of the sound was going to happen underwater. How was I going to get that? Also, I'm with people who are doing work that's, um, really they're very safe and they take all sorts of precautions, but there's the potential for there to be danger. And so I just wanted to be not in the way, but also collect all the sound that I needed to collect so that it would be a very sound rich story and take the listener, the audience, to this place that was so kind of unexpected in terms of an ag job. And then the final thing that was a real challenge for me, which was something I wasn't necessarily expecting, was that my main character, who's just clearly such a responsible, thoughtful guy, was a little formal when we first started talking. And that, again, in print, you can kind of pull off sometimes, but it really doesn't work in audio. And I was really like, what am I going to do? How am I going to, because we'd spoken on the phone and I really got some beautiful stories from him there. And what happened is that when he dove, when he was underwater and using the communication system with his brother, who was, working the communication system and making sure all their air was working and all that, when he was down there, that's when he started telling me stories. And so sometimes it's just waiting until the person you're talking to is the most comfortable. And that's what it was in this case. And that's when he really opened up. And that's when it became clear. And what you hear in the story is that these guys are all probably most comfortable underwater. That's where they really opened up.
That's fascinating. And before I listened to the episode, I sort of pictured you interviewing people with, aspirators in their mouth, but it's not quite like that. So last question for this particular work, what's the takeaway? What should we learn from these workers?
Well, I think, anyone who eats is eating food from California. Most likely, anyone in the United States that's eating is probably eating food from California. And I think it really behooves us to be thinking about all of the people in that process, from people driving the trucks, people, obviously, farm workers who are working in the fields, and people maintaining the water flow. And We can have all sorts of opinions about how all of these things should be working, but this is what's happening. And so for me, this was a slice of, here's this little bit of the food system that I didn't know about, and I know that a lot of other people didn't know about. And it's good for us to be thinking all along that chain, as we eat our, up there it's rice and almonds and some fruit. As we think about those things, that's what's keeping this going.
Well, thank you. I agree, and I appreciate your answers. And for you out there in streaming land, if you want to listen to Lisa's full episode, and you definitely should, it's available at ReapSo. You can also get it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also listen to it on KQED's The California Report podcast. They're our partners on this episode of ReapSo, and we can't thank them enough for the work that they do. That's all I've got for today, but if you want to learn more about FERN's dispatches from the front lines of food, farming, and the environment, or if you want to donate to support our work, go to www.thefern.org. Thank you.